There is a part of us that knows the answers to our biggest questions in life, that knows why we're here, what we're here to do, what we're here to be. We all feel this desire to be of service in the greatest way, to contribute to humanity in our own unique way. But what is it? For many of us, it's hard to put into words. We just have a feeling that we're here for more. And until that more is discovered, we often find ourselves restless, unfulfilled, hopeless, and frustrated. The answers we seek are inside of us and lead us to living our highest potential. This show is about finding and connecting with that part of us that knows the way, our spirit within. Everything we want to do, be, and have is here and ready for us. Welcome to Spiritual Connection with Mandy Curry. Welcome back. On today's show, we are talking about raising your vibration. And we'll talk exactly what that is and why it's important. So if you saw our last show, we were talking about accessing messages from your higher self, from the universe, from God, from your soul, whatever that you'd like to call it. But it's about accessing messages that help you along your path. And in order to be able to do that, our vibration is a big piece of that. So we are energy beings, and so our vibration is made up of many things. Our body alone is very dense, but also what contributes to the vibration, the feelings, the energy that we put off, the energy that we have in our body, another big part of that is our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions. So think about the different way that maybe love and joy feel versus shame and guilt. Just talking about shame and guilt, you feel the heaviness in those emotions. So when we are feeling a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, feelings of a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-love, those are all really heavy, dense emotions. And they begin to, over time, pull us down. And they also begin to manifest themselves. So we have more and more and more of those heavy, dense emotions in our body. So as we begin to really look at our beliefs, our thoughts, and our emotions, we find some really easy ways that we can begin to raise up our vibration. And when we raise up our vibration, not only do we just feel lighter, we actually do put off more light into the world. But you're also going to find that you are manifesting your soul's desires, you are manifesting your dreams. It all starts to come from that place. But you also then begin to get messages more deeply from your higher self, from God, from the universe, whatever it might be. But you're going to find that those messages are so much easier to hear. We often ask, well, who is God? And many would say, well, God is love. And so if God is love, the highest emotion in our human experience, that feeling of unconditional, abundant love, well, then in order to really hear those messages, to hear those messages from God, from our higher self, then we need to be up there at that same feeling, at that same vibration of love. Because when we are down in those lower feelings of fear, of shame, of guilt, it's harder for us to hear those. It's harder to hear God talking to us. It's harder to hear our higher self talking to us when we're down in that vibration. So truly, this is about not only manifesting your soul's desires and how that's impacted, but it also is about beginning to really clearly receive those messages from higher consciousness, and we're able to do that as we raise our vibration. So you might wonder, well, how do I know what my vibration is? And how do I know if my thoughts and feelings and emotions are really in the right place? And so a very easy way to start to look at that is to just look at different areas of your life. And so we oftentimes say that there are 3 playgrounds that we come here to experience so much with: your health, your wealth, and relationships. So you can look at just those 3 categories alone, and you can begin to look and observe with discernment, not with judgment, but you can begin to look at those 3 areas and identify if you're where you'd like to be. If you feel like you are living your highest potential in those three areas: health, wealth, and relationships. You can begin then if, let's say, for example, you really don't feel like you are living your potential with wealth, that you feel like it's not exactly where you'd like it, that you're working really, really hard and maybe still finding that it's hard to make ends meet. And it feels like this vicious cycle of not being able to get ahead. So, in that case, we might be feeling some lower, heavier emotions around that. Maybe we're feeling these emotions of lack of self worth. We feel like we're just not good enough. And maybe we have a little bit of shame and guilt that our financial situation isn't exactly where we'd like it to be. So, as we begin to dissect those beliefs, we've got to really get to the root of that. So, really, what is at the root of those feelings and emotions that we're having? So, you might have a deep rooted belief, perhaps that was even passed down to you, that you didn't even realize that you had. But perhaps you have a belief very deep, maybe even deep within your family lineage, that in order to make money, you have to work really hard. And that in order to make money, you have to exchange your time for dollars. Just that one belief alone can change your reality because your beliefs are what creates your reality. So, because that's a belief, whether you consciously even know it or not, but because it's a belief that's been held deep inside for many, many generations, then that starts to produce your reality around that. So you might find that you're in a job where you're trading your time for dollars. And you might find that that's a situation that has been in your family for many, many generations. So if that belief no longer serves you, and this is a chance to ask yourself that, how is this belief serving me? Do I really believe that in order to attract money into my life, I have to work really hard? And so as you begin to dissect those beliefs, you'll start to probably think, gosh, you know what? That really doesn't apply to me anymore. I really don't believe that. It's a belief that I've caught. It's a belief that's been passed down from generation to generation. I've lived it. I've experienced it. It's not very fun. And now it's time to start to adopt a new belief. But you can begin to see, though, how having some of those beliefs deep, deep, deep in our subconscious start to impact our emotions. They start to impact our feelings. And it's those beliefs that start to hold us down. So when we talk about raising our vibration, those heavy, dense emotions keep our vibration very low. And those are going to be feelings of not good enough, feelings of fear, feelings of I'm ashamed of my situation that I'm in, feelings of depression, feelings of just not good enough. And so those heavy, dense feelings and emotions begin to weigh us down and they pull down our vibration. Maybe you look at your relationships in your life and you tend to see that the relationships in your life, maybe there's a lot of drama, maybe there is a lot of gossip, maybe there's a lot of judgment in the relationships in your life. And so that's an opportunity for us to go, again, deep into our belief system to see what that might be about. Sometimes you will find in that process, as you start to really kind of dissect your beliefs around relationships, you might find that much of that is a result of lack of self-worth and lack of self-love. Sometimes as we are feeling or not feeling the love for ourselves, we tend to attract to us relationships that just reflect those feelings of lack of self-worth and lack of self-love. And so what might that look like? Well, that might look like a lot of judgment in our relationships, where we're always judging maybe and criticizing others because we hope that it kind of makes us feel a little bit better. So sometimes we attract those situations into our life, but really it's all about us. It has nothing to do with them. These relationships are all just teachers of us. They are teachers of us of our belief systems and also of our emotions and our thoughts that are going through our head. So relationships are a really great opportunity for us to look at our beliefs and look at our vibration. So if you are feeling like you are around a lot of judgment and criticism and angry people, it's a chance to really begin to look inside and look to see, Are you loving yourself? Are there places in your life where you could be loving yourself a little bit more? Because as you begin then to do that, you're going to find that you attract more loving relationships to you. Everything begins to change as we begin to go up that emotional ladder. So, the easiest way that we can begin to raise our vibration is to begin to look at our life, and you can take those three common areas: health, wealth, and relationships. Look at how your life is. Look at your beliefs about each of those and just write them down. What are my beliefs about money? Write everything down. Or maybe it's even beliefs that you have heard or that people have said about money. Write them all down. What are your beliefs about health? Write them all down. Perhaps there is a belief in your lineage that if your grandfather has diabetes, your father has diabetes, then you are destined for diabetes. Perhaps there is a belief system in your lineage around that. So begin to write all of that down. And then begin to do the same thing with relationships. Maybe there are beliefs about relationships in your family. Beliefs that relationships are hard, that people are always out to get you, that you can't trust, to always keep your enemies closer than your friends. Start to just jot down all those phrases that we hear about relationships, and also begin to jot down some of those might also be a part of our belief system. So once you begin to bring those all to the surface, you can then begin to replace them with new beliefs. And as you do, you're going to find that you begin to raise up the emotional ladder, and your vibration begins to raise along with it. A very easy way to begin to be very conscious of our vibration is to start to observe the thoughts that are in our head. And sometimes our thoughts just go on autopilot. In many cases, they are also stemming from our belief system. So you might find that you kind of zone out at times, and maybe your thoughts go to dreaming up this story of what's about to happen with a coworker, or thinking through what might happen with a partner or a spouse. And sometimes our mind begins to create some new stories. Well, you might find that those stories are often negative, a little bit toxic sometimes, but that's where you can start to see where your beliefs are coming into play because of the thoughts that we're thinking. When you become the observer of your thoughts, you can quickly change them. You can begin to quickly change your thoughts so fast just by beginning to observe them. And so sometimes you can even do an exercise where you're starting to journal all of your thoughts. If you were to journal your thoughts for even just a few hours, you would find it so enlightening and expanding. You would then begin to see all of the deep-rooted beliefs that you didn't even probably know that you had. So just in journaling your thoughts for a couple of hours, you might start to see those areas where there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of guilt and shame, feelings of low self-esteem, low self-worth, and lack of self-love. You'll probably start to see those areas where you feel that. It's perfect. Once we just are aware of it, bring it to the surface, then we can release it. We can begin to release it and replace it with higher thinking thoughts. So why does a high vibration even matter to us? Well, it's really important. So if you think about the emotional ladder, and you can even think about it like a spiral. So you would have your lowest feelings, your lowest emotions at the bottom, which would be shame and guilt and fear. All of those are going to circle at the low end of this spectrum. We go all the way up, and then we get to excitement, to joy, to love, to feeling all of that bliss that we want in our life. Well, when we are down at this lower spiral, down in that fear, down in that shame, down in that guilt, that's the energy that we're putting off in the world. That's what we are attracting more of into our life. So whatever you put out is what you get back. So if you are feeling at those lower vibrations, we're putting that out then to the world, we're going to get it right back to us. So we're going to get more opportunities of fear, of shame, of guilt, more of that is just going to manifest into our life. So if we want to begin to manifest more of our desires, more of our dreams, well, then it's about raising up our vibration. It is not, okay, when I get the money, then I'm going to feel really good. It doesn't work like that. We've got to make sure we're feeling really good, and then we begin to attract the money or the relationships or the health into our life. We attract it from those high places. That's where we want to be. If you want your life to change quickly, and it will change very quickly, your whole world, your whole reality will begin to change as you begin to then live in these higher vibration feelings and these higher vibration emotions. It's really pretty easy to do. So it's about getting to that place of love, of joy, of happiness, of excitement, of anticipation of what's coming. It's the optimism for your life. That's what's coming. When we get and we play up in that area, that's what we begin to attract more of into our life, and you will begin to see everything change. So now the question is, well, how do I live up there? How do I get to where I'm living my day up in joy and love and in happiness? Because maybe we've spent a lot of our time, a lot of years, down in fear and down in those lower feeling vibrations. So sometimes it's a climb. Sometimes it is a climb up the emotional ladder. And it happens in every day, in every moment. We get to choose. We get to choose in every day and in every moment. But a big part of that is finding more time for you. It's finding time in your day for those things that bring you the most joy. So how do we begin to live in these higher vibrations of joy and happiness? Well, it's really a part of finding things in your day that you enjoy doing. There are things that we all enjoy doing. Maybe it is that walk in nature. Maybe it's that certain class that you want to take. Maybe it's just a few minutes to read a certain book that you love to read. Whatever it is finding a little bit of time each and every day to do those things that bring you the most joy. And to start off with, it might just be 5 minutes. It might just be 5 minutes is all that you can squeeze in, and that is perfect. 5 minutes doing what you love and what brings you joy will completely start to change your day. Everything will start to change, and you're going to begin feeling lighter. And then you might find that there's other things you can pull into your day, and before you know it, you have 30 minutes a day where you're in that joy and in that happiness, and time almost begins to stand still a little bit. But when we are in those higher vibrations, if we can find a little bit of time each and every day to do that, that's where things begin to change. You might also find that time in nature is really what will help to raise your vibration. There is so much energy in nature. Everything is living. Everything is alive. The trees, the water, the animals, the birds, it's all living and breathing. And so when we are out in nature, we are able to take in Mother Nature's energy. It is the purest energy. And if you really want something that will begin to raise your vibration, the more that you can get out in that energy, to get the sunlight, to be exposed to all of that, it will considerably help your vibration, and it's going to help you spend more and more time in those higher vibrations. So you might be asking, well, this all feels a bit selfish and self-centered, that I really don't have time in my day to be focusing on me and my joy, that I have so many other responsibilities and commitments, and I have family that I have to take care of. But truly, this is about you focusing on you, because we can't give what we don't have. And so if we really want to raise our vibration, if we really want to be that light in the world that impacts the world, if we want to have the impact that we desire, we've got to do the inside work. It all starts inside. And so, yes, it is time to become a little bit more self-centered, a little bit more self-focused. Not in a negative way, though. Those words have a bit of a lower, denser vibration, and we don't want it to be that way. This is about you. and you becoming your priority, because as you begin to focus on those things that bring you joy, focusing on your happiness, focusing on that excitement in your life, everything else around you, your reality begins to change. So if you want to change your reality, if there is any part of your life in those three areas of health, wealth, and relationships that isn't quite where you'd like it yet, then yes, it's time to go inside. It's time to go inward. Begin to look at those areas that we can focus on that will bring us the most happiness and joy, and begin to add more of that into our life. Because as we do, we're going to find that we're just going to feel lighter in general. You just think about the words excitement and joy and love, they just have a lighter feeling to them. You know how you feel when you've heard that great song on the radio and you are so excited and you're just bubbling with excitement? You also feel a little bit lighter. You can just tell. And so that's the feeling that we're going for, is that feeling of lightness, of excitement. And sometimes too, the foods that we eat also contribute to our vibration. And that's a very personal journey. And so very much a part of this is starting to also look at the foods that you are eating, because sometimes the foods that we are eating can weigh us down a little bit. So you might find as you're working to raise your vibration that you might eat some lighter foods. And that in eating those lighter foods, you feel a little bit better. It's not weighing you down. It's not weighing your emotions down. And again, that's going to be different for every person. There is no one-size diet for all. It's going to be based on what your needs are. But you might find that lighter foods are also going to raise you up and really help you to get to that happiness and joy emotion a lot faster. So there are two main reasons why raising our vibration is so important. The first one is because it's really important as we want to create our dream life, the life that we've hoped for, the potential in our life. That's really important, because if we are in those lower vibrations of fear, which is where many of us have spent a lot of time in, but when we are in those lower vibrations, we tend to attract more of that into our life. So if we are saying, we've had enough of that and we're ready to experience something else, then raising our vibration to that of joy and love and happiness and going up the emotional ladder is where we begin to do that. Because every emotion, you're just going to attract more of that into your life. Even that emotion of optimism, you're going to attract more optimism into your life. And so as we begin to do that, and as we begin to really work to raise our vibration to love and to joy, then that's everything that we began to attract into our life. Those are the experiences that we create. Those are the relationships that we create. That becomes everything. And isn't that what we all want? This peace on earth. We want love. We want to feel love. We want to come together, to be one. We're looking and we're desiring all of that. And that comes from that emotion, from raising our vibration to that of love and joy and happiness. The second reason that raising our vibration is so very important is because as we begin to do that, we are able to then meet our higher self, higher consciousness, God. They are up in the vibration of love. They're in the vibration of love. So if we want to hear that, if we want to be able to hear messages from loved ones who have passed, or from your highest guides, from ascended masters, from God, from the universe, whoever it might be, if we are wanting that guidance and that love and that support, we want to feel that, then meeting them in that vibration of love and joy is where it's going to happen. That is also where our higher self can meet us too. And so our higher self is always out paving the way for our greatness, always out ahead of us. It is also that part of us that knows the way. It's the part of us that knows our path, that knows where we're going. It is our greatest friend. It is our number one cheerleader. And we all have a lot of questions for our own higher selves. And so as we go down this path and this journey to begin to establish that connection, to integrate more of that part of us that knows all that is connected to all that is, the more we incorporate love into our life and open our hearts, we're able to allow more of that higher self to become a part of us. this very much. How do you get to love? How do you begin to add more love to your day? We begin to open our hearts. That's how we do it. When we begin to open our hearts and we begin to play a little less in our head and open our hearts wide open. And this is a very big shift for so many of us. For so many of us, for our whole lives, we've been often taught to close our hearts down, to always trust your logical mind, to not listen to our hearts. So truly though, if this is where we want to go to raise our vibration and to begin to integrate more with our higher self and higher consciousness, it truly is, it's reversed. It is about removing the judgment, because judgment and love are two separate emotions, two separate feelings. So, and judgment is a low emotion. It's heavy. You can feel that. But love is not. So how do we get to love? We open our heart and we expand our heart. So as we begin to do that and we live in our heart, we begin to feel the love and the joy and the happiness in our day. We're going to find that we are manifesting our desires. Our reality, our world around us begins to change so very quickly. You're going to find so much peace in your day, so much happiness in your day. Life is going to also get a lot easier for you. And you're also going to probably find that you are able to hear those messages from the universe, from God, from your higher self. You're going to be getting the guidance that you have always dreamed of. That's now going to become so much easier for you. So thank you for being a part of our show as we talk about raising your vibration. It is such an easy process once we really just begin to be the observer of our thoughts and beliefs and begin to replace them with higher thinking thoughts. Everything begins to change. So thank you again for joining us, and we cannot wait to be back with you again next week.